Matchups are glorious this week, guys. They're glorious. I have some great ones. I see y'all's eyes looking at the screen. You ready? I'm going to start with the pre-practice Letarte hammer bet.
Ooh, right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. There's no reason to make them wait. This is the Letarte hammer bet pre-practice. I keep saying pre-practice because I want the ability to come back and be like, man, so-and-so has speed. Aric Almirola versus Bubba Wallace. Aric Almirola, basically even money, minus 105. Bubba, minus 125. So Bubba's the favorite. Let me just give you some stats. 10 times both these drivers have raced against each other at Phoenix. Just take a gander. Chop, how many times do you think Bubba has outrun Almirola in 10 races at Phoenix?
1.
0. Not once. It could be this week. I could be wrong. But if I'm looking at stats, doing my homework, Aric Almirola, the long shot, is 10-0 against Bubba Wallace at Phoenix. You throw New Hampshire in, 14-1.
Wow.
15 races they have run at Phoenix and New Hampshire. One time has Bubba Wallace outrun Aric Almirola. I would say this is Aric Almirola's style of racing. This is where he runs the best. High-speed tracks where you have some decel. I know Dover doesn't look like this, but he runs well at Dover. Phoenix, New Hampshire, places you get on the brakes. We just said the Fords were great. Toyotas were not. I know there's a downforce change. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Almirola over Bubba. There's no data anywhere that tells me different. And unless Bubba shows just tremendous more speed than Almirola, if they're coin flip on speed, I'm still taking Almirola because history says he knows how to finish at these tracks. Professor, am I crazy?
Nope, you're right.
Whoa, cut it, Travis.
Wow.
Cut that right there. I want that as my ringtone. I want the professor saying you're right as my ringtone. When I get a text from him, I just want to hear, ding, you're right. That's all I wanted to hear. There's my hammer bet. I came right out of the box with it, Chop. Almirola over Bubba.
I like it.
Pretty quiet up there, Professor. I got another one.
Well, the other thing,
go ahead, please. I knew you had more. He always has more. He waits.
We talked about this yesterday. Like when we were looking at some of these, it's like there's a 9-position difference in the predictor between these two as well. So like that's just another way to look at it. Like the 9 positions between those two is big. We don't see that a lot in these head-to-head bets.
Dig in a little deeper. Go a little more. Explain to the fan in case they aren't paying attention at the beginning, in case it's the first podcast. Explain the predictor in layman's terms. The professor. Explain it like you're explaining it to me now. Don't explain it like you're explaining it to some of your other brainiac buddies. Like to me and Chop. You're gurus on here.
I'll explain it as I was explaining it to you first, and then to everybody else.
Pretend you're explaining it to Lucas. Me and Lucas.
We just put a bunch of numbers together in the computer, and they go crazy, and then it spits out this information. No, it basically takes the track, the track type that we compare it to. So this week we compared it to Gateway, New Hampshire, and Phoenix. Then the momentum, we call it momentum, last several races. We have pit crews that are in there. We have speed we've added in there. There's just a bunch of different factors that all come down to just giving it a score, and then we rank the score.
And now this isn't just, this is over historical data. He actually went and talked to a math guy, right? Like how things should be weighted, how we turn them up, turn them down. Every week the professor and I meet because I believe it's very good at the ovals. I do think we're going to start turning some knobs at the road courses. Super speedways, I'm just going to order a magic 8-ball for all of us. I actually think we're just going to go for plus monies on all the matchups to sit back and drink beer and eat popcorn and see who wrecks. But so I do believe the predictor is very good. So now let's talk that. Almirola was a hammer over Bubba, in my opinion. Almirola is predicted to finish where?
Almirola
13th.
And Bubba?
13th. 22nd. Yeah.
9 positions different. And back to the score, the raw score, it's a pretty big gap in raw score. Like I kind of break them down in tiers. They're almost a full tier apart. So I like that bet still. All right, well then.
And then you can, the next step is then to compare it to how the books set the odds, right? So if you look at Bubba by the odds is ranked 15th and Almirola is ranked 18th. That's why he's ended up being the favorite.
Right.
That's where you show the difference between how the predictor sees it and how the odds see it, or how the odds rank. And that's where you start to see the value. It starts to identify where the potential is, where we think a guy's going to run better than the books.
That's where Chop's point is. So listen, the book said who's going to win because they have to predict against it. It's funny because if you go out the top 10s, to your point, right? Harvick isn't the favorite to win the race, but damn, he's the favorite to run on the top 10, right? So there is this kind of mix, and that's why we believe, or I believe, this week the value is in the matchups. I've kind of looked at them all. I just don't. They're getting stingy with their top 10s and stuff. So that's why I like Almirola over Bubba. I have another one, and this is a pure value conversation. Are you ready? If I just said Cindric against Reddick, and that's all I said, and give you any action, no juice, or not my favorite. Professor, Cindric against Reddick, how close is that to a coin flip?
Well, I would have said Reddick hands down, right?
Even though the predictor app has the opposite.
Well, that's just thinking about it. But then when
you mean just looking at names and resumes, you would have said, oh, well, Cindric is the guy. Like, he flies.
Right. But the data is definitely Cindric over Reddick.
How's the head-to-head tool?
Well, so on the head-to-head tool, here you go. I have it as a coin flip. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to circle all the way back around on my pick and why I have my pick. But listen to me. The results are dead split at Phoenix. How about this? This is crazy. They've been in 46 races. I mean, everywhere in their career, 46 cup races together. They're 23 and 23. like I know that's big because they have speedways and road courses, but just think about that. These guys, they're a coin flip. Like they are as coin flip, in my opinion, as they could come. If you go to a super speedway, I'd say maybe Cindric, he won the 500. If you go to a low grip track like Kansas, maybe you would say Reddick if you think he could finish. But overall, for the global stamp, I would say they're a 50-50. When I look at Phoenix numbers, I would say they're 50-50 or leaning Cindric, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree, Professor Fenley, or maybe leaning Cindric? He's driving a Ford. We just talked about how good the Fords are. Yeah. He's in a Penske Ford.
And I think the momentum he has, like the last 5, last 10, he dominates all those. And then if we look at Gateway, New Hampshire, and Phoenix last year, he's got the advantage over Reddick there.
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you, this is why we have our producer, Travis, right here. Barstool's been moving the numbers from our prep. Hold on, let me make sure I have this right, because this is going to change it's not going to change my pick, but I don't want to lie about your quotes here, your numbers. Where was that big odd to begin with? Oh, it's at Barstool, right? All right. So the juice has changed already. Should have took it yesterday. Back to my point. Cindric was a plus 140 dog. When I say dog, I mean underdog. Reddick is the heavy favorite. Okay. Heavy. It's still that way. Reddick, according to the books, minus 155. Cindric, call it plus 120. So I think they thought they had it wrong. They've already got. There's been no cars on track. The data hasn't changed. So some early action somewhere has moved this head-to-head. Like, right, Chop? Explain that to the fans, right? Like, why would Barstool move this number if nothing has changed? There's no injuries. This isn't an injury report in football. Cars haven't been on track. Why is that number moving?
It's because the action came in on Cindric. So typically the books, and with NASCAR, it's even more important with the action because there's not that much total action like in football, where you can offset the two sides. In this case, if they put the line out, and I'm sure they have some guys that will look at the lines, the initial lines, and make their early plays. And if they see all of the action going at Cindric, they'll start to adjust it right then because they know that it's out of whack from the bettor's perspective.
So listen, I'm telling you right now, get it and get it early, because after practice, it's going to flip. Cindric is going to haul ass in practice. He's in a Penske Ford. He's going to haul ass. He's going to be. I think he's young. I actually think he practices better than he races most places. So this number is going to dump. So if you can get Cindric right now, plus money over Reddick. I didn't have it as a hammer because I think it's a coin flip. I think you're betting on the value. I'm not guaranteeing, the numbers don't say Cindric is going to outrun Reddick. My point is the odds are wrong. These should be even money across the board. You're getting plus money. I don't love it as much at plus 120. If it goes down to dead even minus, I think I would avoid the matchup. This was purely a value bet, and the value bet was Cindric plus money. All right, so Cindric, Reddick, I got a couple more right here, and they both involve the same driver, the driver of the 20 from Joe Gibbs Racing. The first is a Joe Gibbs Racing versus Joe Gibbs Racing. I just don't see this. They're even money, basically minus 114. So in matchups, it's kind of like picking the side of a football game. When I say even, it doesn't mean dead even. They're like minus one, call it 10, 115. That means there's juice. That means you have to bet $115 to win 100. It's like that on both sides because in the end, the sportsbook doesn't care who wins. They would like $1,000 bet one way and $1,000 bet the other. They're going to make their juice and they're going to pay the winners. And they're happy as can be. They're just taking the bets. Christopher Bell. Listen, this guy's Chopper's guy. I'm going against Chopper's guy. I already know which side Chopper's going to be on. Christopher Bell against James Dennis Hamlin. The DH machine is 6-0. 6-0 against Christopher Bell. I do know Bell was very good at New Hampshire. And that's probably why this is a heads-up match. But I'm telling you, I don't know. If you look at Denny's Instagram, he's out there on the West Coast with his buddies. They're playing pickleball. They're like, he looks pretty relaxed, having a good time. I don't know. Something about the DH bet. I think Denny over Bell. He's 6-0 at Phoenix. I'm riding the stats until the stats prove me wrong. Professor giving me a big, heavy, smiling nod. There's no way he can argue me different because I used his own information against him. Which you like better, Hamlin over Bell or Almirola over Bubba?
Oh, Almirola over Bubba.
We agree that's the hammer.
That's
the big inflatable circus hammer. Okay. Yep. Hamlin over Bell. I'm not even going to ask Chopper straight Hamlin down the line. So there's no reason to even ask at this point. There's zero chance.
Just wait till a road course. Just wait till a road course.
Oh yeah. You can't fade Hamlin quicker than Chopper does when he goes to the road course. Okay. Well, then let's stick on the Bell train. Bell versus Harvick. Let me go ahead and tell you. 6 races. Christopher Bell and Kevin Harvick have been at Phoenix. Guess how many Christopher Bell has outrun Kevin Harvick?
0.
Zugats. Nada. Zero. I'm taking both against Bell, and I'm not hating on Bell or fading Bell. The predictor app has him running pretty well. Has him running 12th. I have Hamlin as a top 5 car. I have Harvick as a top 7 car. I can't. Could Bell get there? Absolutely. Practice Bell could kick us right in the teeth. But I'm telling you, the stats say, why do we even record them if we're not going to look at them? 6-0 at the racetrack. That's not a next-gen thing. That's not a championship race thing. That's multiple cars, multiple tires, multiple dates, multiple situations, and he still has yet to outrun Hamlin or Harvick.